Good day, my friends, and welcome back to my channel, The Mysterious Black Bandit. I wanted to let you guys know I am forever grateful for all your support. Please do me a quick favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and last but not least, turn the notification bell on so as soon as I upload a video, you will receive it. Alright, before we get started, unfortunately, I am not Dave Chappelle, but he is my favorite comedian, so maybe that's the reason why I sound like him. Okay, let's get into the video. In today's video, I will be talking about one of New York's finest, Kenneth Supreme Mcgriff. Kenneth Mcgriff was born on September 19, 1960 in the Southside Jamaica, Queens, New York. Mcgriff was the middle child of three that grew up in a two-parent household with both of his parents working in the transit in New York's subway system. His parents worked very hard to provide a better life for their kids and to keep them out the projects, which they did, but they lived right next door to the Za'zell projects. It was said that he had a pretty regular inner city childhood. He was a very humble kid that was a talented student and also an avid football player that had dreams to play college football one day. While attending Catherine and Count Basie Junior High School, his life was drastically changed when he discovered a new philosophy. He was introduced to the 5%ers, a splinter group that broke away from the Nation of Islam in 1964. The 5%ers taught that the black man is God and their women are the earth. They believe that they are the chosen 5% of humanity destined to be natural-born leaders, hence the name. Even rappers like Nas, Busta Rhymes, and the Wu-Tang Clan prescribed to the teachings and started to spread the message in their music and songs. In 1971, in accordance with their belief, Mcgriff's characteristic and involvement with the group earned him the righteous name Supreme, which means in the 5% doctrine, the Most High. With most of the 5%ers coming from prison, it had the most influence on Supreme. Reports stated that the role model for the young crew were the hustlers, the drug dealers, the pimps, and the stick-up kids. So Supreme started to pick up on how they moved and started carrying himself like an older and more established hustler. He started wearing suits, which brought on a seriousness about his hustling, and when the older hustlers seen this, they took him under their wing. As time went on, Supreme was becoming a prominent figure with the growing crew, and rivals quickly became aware that crossing Supreme wasn't the way to go. In the early 70s, a gang called the Seven Crowns was formed that launched the careers of some of New York's biggest drug dealers, such as Lorenzo Fat Cat, Tony Montana Mickens, and Pretty Tony. Naturally, Supreme gravitated to the group to get in on the drug dealing action, and this is when he was introduced to Fat Cat. It was said that Supreme and Fat Cat were rivals at one point in time, but a mutual friend between them helped them settle their feud, and they became really good friends over time, and Fat started to mentor him. He started to show Supreme the ins and outs of the game and laying the groundwork for him and his future. Reports stated that Supreme became a very precise organizer and started using force coldly and carefully to preserve his power. Even as a kid, Supreme was considered to be sharp enough to put things into place and slowly start taking over Jamaica Queens. In the early 80s, Supreme decided to form his own gang, calling it the Supreme Team, with him as the leader and his nephew, Gerald Prince Miller, as the second in command. The gang focused its criminal efforts on a widespread distribution of crack cocaine. It was said that under Supreme's guidance, the gang number grew to the hundreds, and they soon took full control of the Basie projects, which was the largest public housing development in Queens at that time. By 1985, the Supreme Team was thriving. Supreme's name was respected all over the streets, and no matter where he went, people knew who he was. One report stated that one time the police came to the projects and over 50 members of the Supreme Team threw down bottles and trash at them. And without a word, Supreme waved his hand and stopped the commotion. He then asked them if they were okay and had them escorted out safely. But with that type of notoriety, it was just a matter of time before the police would start getting curious to who he was. Queens Narcotic Division set up surveillance all around the projects and had their informants telling them certain places where they had their guns, drugs, and money. It was said that one of the stash houses was robbed of $80,000 and Supreme complained to the streets, letting them know that he wasn't happy and that money needed to be returned. But the wrong ears heard this, and that's when the investigation started. In September of 1985, the narcotics team would arrest Supreme and confiscate drugs, guns, money, and counterfeit money. Supreme will be convicted of narcotic possession and sentenced to 9 years to life at Elmira State Prison in New York. While he was serving his time, the Supreme Team was placed under the leadership of his nephew, Prince, which some members of the team didn't like. Allegedly, Miller was known to be vicious and unforgiving who led with the iron fist, torturing, beating, and even murdering people. But after only serving 22 months, Supreme came home on an appeal bond, and reports say that once he got back home, he held a meeting with his team to come up with a plan and goals to grow their enterprise. He arranged an elaborate security system around the projects, assigning lookouts equipped with walkie-talkies to keep watch from the tops of nearby buildings while others patrolled the streets in bulletproof luxury vehicles. He wanted to know each and every new member of the team. Supreme was wanting to reassert his dominance and to get his name back good since he had been locked up for a short period of time. On July 30th, 1987, Gregory Bond, a 33-year-old gym teacher and coach, refereed one of Supreme's basketball tournaments in Baisley Pond Park. The teams were playing to win $50,000 in prize money, and the crew had bet even more. It was said that Gregory had made a controversial call at the end of a game, and allegedly a crew member of the Supreme team jumped from the stands and came down and beat the man to death. On November 6, 1987, just a few months after his release, the FBI conducted a massive drug raid on the Supreme team's headquarters in Baisley Projects and found heroin, cocaine, police scanners, and even books with the title The Silencer Handbook and Method of Disguise. This showed authorities how intelligent and serious Supreme and his team was. Supreme and some of his top people had been caught and landed right back in prison for engaging in continual criminal enterprise, in which he took a plea bargain and was sentenced to 12 years in prison for his offense. But after only serving 7 years of his sentence, Supreme was released from prison on parole in the early 1995. Once he was back on the streets, he realized that everyone in the drug game either ended up in jail or dead, so he decided to go straight. He opened up a barbershop near his parents' home and began making plans to enter the film industry. Supreme figured out with his street credit, he could get into a position with somebody in the entertainment world to make his dreams of becoming a producer come true. So he became friends with the hip-hop producer John Gotti, who started to introduce him to rappers and urban musicians. Supreme would often provide them with protection. In exchange, Gotti and his company Murder Inc. began creating the financial backing needed to make Supreme's Hollywood vision a reality. He was very passionate about making his films and set out to make his first soundtrack called The Black Gangsters with Jay-Z, DMX, Ja Rule, and 50 Cent. Supreme was on his way to fulfilling his dreams, but when the money got tight, he returned to what he knew best, which was the streets. Now, it was stated that he was in and out of jail for violation of his parole. In the 2000s, Supreme's life was finally on the rise until the beef between two rappers, Ja Rule and 50 Cent, emerged. Some say that 50 Cent and Ja Rule's dispute was partly because Supreme spoke up for Ja Rule, and 50 took that as a rejection of him. Supreme tried to settle the issue his way, but 50 Cent refused to back down after several threats. It was also rumored that 50 Cent caught wind that Supreme had something to do with his mother's death. Allegedly, Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's mother, was a member of the Supreme team who had got addicted to crack and messed up some of Supreme's money. And once he found out, she was found dead in her apartment. Someone had laced her drink and turned the gas on. Her body was found 4 days later. So with those allegations, 50 Cent mocked Supreme through his lyrics in his song, The Ghetto Koran, that was released in the 2000s and escalated his beef with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. Supreme said he sat down with 50 Cent and tried to squash it. Then 50 Cent responded saying, "Yeah, all right, Supreme, I respect you." But that was it. Nothing has stopped. On May 24th, 2000, 50 Cent and one of his friends sat in a car outside his grandmother's house on 161st Street in South Jamaica, and a gunman pulled up in his vehicle on his left, shot him 9 times, hitting him in the face, hand, hips, and other body parts. 50 Cent eventually recovered and went on to become a superstar. Allegedly, this was a hit out Supreme put on him for the disrespect. One source said he had met with Supreme the same day of the shooting, and Supreme told him, "I got him," but the courts couldn't prove it was him. Just because of the rep Supreme had, every crime-related issue in the rap industry was linked to him and his associates. In the late 2001, after a rival gangster, E-Money Bags and Singleton, were found murdered in Queens outside a sports bar. Investigators came to believe that Supreme had something to do with that too. Reports stated that he hired 2 killers to get revenge on the 2 men, who were allegedly responsible for the death of Supreme's friend, Black Just Johnson. In 2002, after the slaying of 2 more men who are working with Supreme, his notoriety will become the cause of his downfall. Supreme will be pulled over in his black BMW near a well-known drug spot in Harlem and was arrested and charged with weapon possession. He knew that he was going to have to serve his time for the gun possession, so he pled guilty to the charges, but while he was waiting his sentence, he fled to Miami. On December 28, 2002, the authorities caught him at a hotel in Miami and charged him for having a certificate at a shooting range. The feds had built up a pretty large track record on Supreme, and on February 1st, 2007, the jury found him guilty of murder conspiracy, drug trafficking, and racketeering. The prosecutors used the testimony from a hitman, text messages, and alleged video evidence. And because all of his assets and Gotti's assets were seized, Supreme was unable to hire a lawyer, but instead he was granted a court-appointed attorney. On February 9, 2007, the jury sentenced Supreme to life and sent him off to federal prison for the last time. Kenneth Supreme Mcgriff was a charismatic and intelligent criminal legend who was a gangster celebrity in prison and on the streets. And from what the streets will say, he will always be remembered and respected on the streets. And that will bring this video to an end. Like always, I would like to thank you sincerely for staying and supporting. And if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button for your boy. Also, tell me what you think of the story down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, stay mysterious, my friends.